the CEO of Invest India. Now, how do you become the CEO of Invest India when yes, you were born in India, but after your bachelor's, you then moved to the US and joined Intel? And, well, firstly, India didn't even recognize your bachelor's. Oh, America didn't, did it? So you had to do it another 2 years and then get going. So tell me, how does, I often think about as a woman, how, as progressive as America is, we still couldn't quite stomach an American female president. And as progressive as America is, or we're told it is, still there are more people called John leading companies than women. And yet when you look at Asia, actually the landscape is very, very different. As we know, so many women are at the top. Both we have Indira Gandhi as the Prime Minister of India, but also in many companies. So tell me just first, let's step back a little. How did you rise in Intel as an Indian woman, and how did you find it culturally different? Like, do you think it was difficult or easy? Just give us some tips and tricks so that the youngsters out there know what they should be doing. Thank you.
This is a question that I'm going to answer with full honesty. And there may be things that make me emotional when I answer. So like Mandeep said, and by the way, I love her last name. I moved to US, and the first job I had was at Intel. I was 20 years old. I worked there for 30 years, walked out as a 50 plus, and here I am. So life happened in those 30 years. 15 were in US, 15 were in India. I have just one story to tell about while I was in US. Intel or many multinational companies don't really talk about your grade level as you progress. Only when you have a title that, you became a vice president, then everybody comes to know. Otherwise, you keep growing. And before you become vice president, there's a level which also has a name. If you're a technologist, you become a principal engineer. Otherwise, you become a director if you are a non-tech. So I was in one of these meetings, and a lot of my American friends said, "Oh, Nivruti, you got promoted." I said, "Yes." So they said, "Oh, you became a grade 7? I said, "No." "Oh, grade 8? "No." So they could not imagine that I had become a grade 10, which would make me a principal engineer. Just because of the way I looked or way I dressed or being a woman, it was very difficult for people to believe I was a technologist, hardcore technologist. And to reach a level, they could not believe. And I'm sorry to say, a lot of people were men, a lot of people were women, a lot of people were Indian, a lot of people were non-Indian. So it's not just like, only men feel like that. Even sometimes I feel women are not very confident about themselves that they can be something or their friend can be something. So that was there. But I will tell you, world is almost the same everywhere. But over the period of time, 30 years, I have toughened up so much. I sometimes even forget that there are men and women. I feel like he's a colleague of mine. Doesn't matter what, he's a man or a woman. So I've just forgotten. Sometimes only when I see a lot of color on me that I realize, oh, I'm different from him. He's so blue. And I'm like red, black, purple, I don't know what other colors. That reminds me. But that's what I've become. So many things are thrown on you that there is a couple of lines in Urdu, which I don't think a lot of people will understand, but I'll translate it. That so many difficulties were thrown on me that I toughened up so much that those difficulties are easy now. It doesn't matter. So it's like, I'm holding the bull by the horn. So no difficulty is difficulty anymore. That's what I've become.
Aap Urdu mein bhi kehte ho kaise hai? I've asked her to say it in Urdu because this is going online and we are at the World Economic Forum, and if we can't ever speak our mother tongue...
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you. So this couplet is by a very famous Urdu poet called Mirza Ghalib. And by the way, he was alive 200, 300 years ago. And he said, Ranj se khugar hota hai insan. When people get used to difficulties, ranj se khugar hota hai insan, to mit jata hai ranj. The difficulties cease to exist. And the second line is, मुश्किलें इतनी पड़ी मुझ पर कि आसान हो गई. So many difficulties were thrown on me that they all became easy. That's what he said, and that actually summarizes my life as a technologist and as a woman who likes to dress in colors.
I almost feel like we could stop right there. That was just poetry and perfection. That was excellent. Thank you. And even if you heard those words and you don't know what those words mean, you're moved by it. It was really, really, really beautiful. I have to say, there's something about being able to express your sorrow,
Yes.
and then, that is your container for joy.
Yes.
As Rumi, and we've only just met. I promise you, there's a real synergy, but we have only just met, like 15 minutes ago. But really, okay. I'm sorry, it wasn't Rumi, it was Gibran. Just to make sure, because I'm sure someone's going to write back and have a problem with it. So, right, moving on. We are talking about Invest India, but this is not a promotional ad. I said to Miss Rai, what is it that I can't ask you? And she said, there's nothing you can't ask me. So since I can ask anything, I'm going to delve into AI. Now, I have a problem with AI because I have lots of questions about it, and I think AI poses a lot of problems and challenges and issues, and I feel as though we're so gung-ho about it, and we're meant to be so bullish on AI that people are almost sleepwalking into this new future, and only then they'll be like, oh, wait a minute, it's difficult for my niece or nephew to get a job. Like right now, if you're graduating from university, it is super hard. It's like the hardest it's ever been. I know because I work in a business school and we're finding it hard to place. People are laying people off left, right, and center, and they put it all under AI. Miss Rai comes from India, a land of over 1 billion, 1.4 billion people. What? We're focusing on AI. What about, all this capital, human capital that we're meant to be using? So I'm going to pause and ask you, Nivruti, if you can tell us, how are you addressing these challenges?
So I am on the side of people who believe that AI is going to create value. And I'm going to start with, I'm going to take you through this journey stepwise. First, if there are actions that need precision, there were times when we could draw with a chalk and cut it. Then came, the microscopes, and you could draw a thin line. And then you had cutting gadgets. Just imagine if a surgery was to happen on me, and the precision that I need is of a microscope. Do you know that orthopedic surgeries done manually take 9 months, 6 to 9 months to recover, and if done robotically, can do it in weeks, 6 to 9 weeks. Why? Precision. So accuracy is what AI can bring. The other thing is efficiency. People who have done statistics know that typically when we did Monte Carlo simulations, or we did design of experiments, we said, oh, I can't run so many experiments in a brute force way, so let me do Monte Carlo simulation. Or let me do design of experiments so I can fold the number of experiments and do fewer things. What if, AI can do all the experiments? Because what has happened? I come from semiconductors, so pardon me, I will bring in semiconductors. Transistors have become so small. We're talking 2 nanometers. That means, more than 20,000 transistors can be built in one horizontal width of my hair. So that's the speed of calculation. Now, the other thing that is required in AI is not just compute and not just memory, but it's power. So now the world is looking at doubling up their power, adding more renewable, because the world has too much greenhouse gas emissions. So power is also now readily available. So when compute and power is available, I would like to say, first, accuracy, Second, efficiency. If my time can be saved doing just analysis of those experiments, I'd better do that. I have a problem with decision and I have a problem with invention, because then I will have to count for decision. You know, I absolutely loved your point when you said, or your interviewer said that Europe doesn't agree with a lot of decisions. And Mandeep and I were talking, I don't agree with some decisions because there's got to be a cultural layer to my decision making.
So wait, let's pause a second. We're talking, you know, AI generally being created either from the US or from China. Now, for the rest of us, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Asia, whether you're in Africa, really are the decisions that are coming, you know, we're using AI in so many ways. You might even use it as your therapist or your best friend or whatever. So whatever take this American or Chinese AI bot is giving you, are you really going to accept that? But more importantly, for your children who perhaps don't have the kind of discerning ability that we have, will accept it. So how are we addressing that? We were talking about that cultural
Thank you. So I feel that AI has to have a cultural layer to it. There's going to be AI diplomacy. I'll just give you one example. BMW believes the passengers sitting in BMW are more important than, let's say, 25 children crossing the road. They want to save the life of the 2 passengers in the car. Another country might say, I would value the children a little bit more. So different cultural nuances will enable different decisions. So that is the layer of AI diplomacy that we will have to work on. And I really believe that with so many challenges that AI brings, technology fixes, regulatory fixes, institutional fixes. Mandeep, I like to say when human beings need a police, a judiciary, institution for creating rules and laws, you don't think AI will need it? AI will also need it. And lastly, India has 1.4 billion people. My belief is we will not lose jobs. It will become different. Who is going to create those agents? Everybody is going to use agents, but the agent creators. 5 million plus software guys are sitting in India. They will be working with Switzerland. They will be working with France, Germany, and US. If China is building agentic army, robotic army, I'm going to look at building agentic software people. So each agent adds many more software engineers and architecture, so those very fine differences between agents, agentic marketplace is what India will build. So we will not lose our jobs, it'll be different jobs.
Yeah, so she's basically saying that we can still use the human army that we have. Yes. Now, and my final question is around values, because we share the same name. Now, I had spoken to Sam Altman of OpenAI about values, and I said, here we are creating AI, where are the values? And he said, good question. Let me get back to you. So I'm going to pose the same question to you, hoping that we have thought about values and that we can bring values into AI. Otherwise, I'm concerned.
Yeah. So it's going to be very important, just like I said, us human beings have a code of law. Something is right, something is wrong, and a code of law may differ. There's got to be a global standardization, not just the institutional level at your country or your city, but at the global level. There's got to be regulation. This is right, this is wrong. A theft is wrong in every single case. But I have gone through COVID, and I know code of conduct and morality is different. You have a lot of HR background. I was posed with decisions where it was outside of the code of conduct that my company had, but morally it was right. So, we'll have to build those kind of differentials, and I 100% believe we have smart individuals all in our world, and we'll fix it.
I love that. So we've taken decisions and put sovereignty into decisions. We've taken an AI and put values and culture into AI. And we've solved the problem that people still need work, and we'll make sure they'll have it. So Invest India, Nivruti Rai, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Mandeep. Thank you, everyone.